Hello, welcome to Why Not Both. My name is Pam Schaefer, and I'm a musician and therapist in Los Angeles. Why Not Both is all about how our multiple passions inform our identity, and this season we are brought to you by Under the Radar magazine and produced by Laura Studeris. If you like what you hear, please make sure to like us and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform, and come spend time with us on social media. We are at WNB the podcast, and that is both on Instagram and on Twitter. For this episode, we got to hang out with Alison Mosshart. You might know her as one of the main musicians in the band The Kills, or in The Dead Weather, or from her really cool visual art. Basically, she's just a total badass. It was an honor to get to chat with her, and I hope that you enjoy our interview.
Every day I do virtual Pilates classes with all my different instructors in California and Nashville, and everyone just has dogs running in and out, dogs running under their bodies, dogs standing on their bodies, children running by with their pants off, little kids going like, I need you to wipe me. Totally. It is amazing. It's like watching crazy comedy. It's so good. Like, to intimately know the inside of all these people's homes where you've never been is also another thing. You're like, what choices? Those are interesting choices.
Yes.
It's awesome. I love it. I mean, it's all a little bit too up close and personal, but there's not a single class that I don't get the giggles really bad. I mean,
oh, that's amazing. Well, and I think it's kind of like how we initially had goat yoga that was supposed to be somehow adorable and yet contained. And now we have dog and child Pilates.
Yeah. And then also the husbands of these women just asking really dumb, loud questions like, where's my shirt? And turning the TV up really loud. And you're like, can you just get him to turn news off? Oh my God.
Oh, just
really, so funny.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just what I'm trying to say. I just know too much now about everything.
Spoiler alert for a future episode, I interviewed Kathleen Hanna, and she had the same experience where at one point she kind of paused and then she's like, my husband appears to be wearing a very vibrant shirt and he's never done this before and I'm concerned. Should I check on him?
Turning a corner. He's turning a corner. We don't know where it's going, but in a pretty funny mood, I think,
Yes. Everyone has experienced now the strangeness of that. Or I was talking to another person about how we've all become basically the dogs that get really excited about deliveries now, and that basically I tip delivery workers pretty much whatever the bill was. I try to give them that tip because they are quite literally keeping me alive. Yeah. And it's amazing when they come by, and I obviously you can't even open the door, but I'm always screaming. I'm like, thank you. You're awesome.
Of waving randomly at anything and anyone. And I've never waved so much in my life. Anything. Any cars on the highway, just hi. Yeah.
I've been trying to practice my smizing because I guess everyone, your mask covers most of your face, and I have a particularly small face. And so it covers so much of what I realized that usually I would smile at someone and I can't. And then I was like, wait, does my smizing look like I'm squinting at you? I
you see someone and you just shut your eyes. That's what it looks like.
I don't want them to think that I'm cringing. I'm like, how do I?
I think we just need to paint smiles on our masks. So, or just make a little message that you're all right under there.
Yeah. One of my friends found a company that they make masks that are actually, it's a print.
Oh yeah.
Face.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. That's an idea though. God, that must look so creepy. I want that.
Oh, well, welcome to Why Not Both, where we can make face masks of our face.
Okay,
It's
sounds great.
completely
I'll
normal.
wear your face and you wear my face today.
It's funny because I usually start off asking, like, what do you do and what's a better question? And I really do think it's topical at this time to be like, what is a better question than what do you do?
Oh, I mean, what have I been doing right now? Is that what you want to know? I mean,
Yeah, because I did watch your video and I loved it. And I wanted to ask you about that. And I wanted to ask, like, since time is kind of a construct now, it's like, what you doing with your time?
I mean, I don't know what's up, but I feel like days are still too short, and I've like overmade myself too busy. I'm
Mm.
starting to get jealous of all these other people who are now like, I'm just spending time on me and, like face masks and, take exercising and cooking. And I'm like up till 5 a.m, just getting super obsessed with videos and music and all of this stuff and going like, holy shit, it's 5 a.m. What have I been doing? I don't know what I've been doing. I just keep doing it. Like I just keep doing it day after day and night after night. And days go by where I don't even go outside. And I can go outside. I have an outside. It's right there.
Yep.
And it seems like
Yep.
another planet. Um, yeah, I've just been working on music, painting, drawing the news. I'm really into drawing the news right now. It doesn't really
Whoa.
I don't know, because I kind of want to hear the news, but then I can't just look at the news. So I've been supposedly kind of like drawing at the same time and looking up now and then, and those pictures are getting interesting.
Wow, that I'm fascinated by that because I too have difficulty watching the news. Like I have difficulty. I don't know if you experience this, but when I'm watching anything, I start really like over relating with the people that I'm watching, and it's sometimes like too distressing. And so I'll listen to the news because then I can just like at least just use one sense to engage it. But
Yeah.
I never thought to draw it, and I'm so curious what that looks like.
Well, it doesn't look like the news. It just people. So I mean, I love drawing people. So it kind of starts as somebody's talking, and you start drawing
Mm-hmm.
them. So you got like a nose, and then all of a sudden it's a different person talking. So then that eyeball goes there, and then it's a different person. And so they're just pictures of faces, but they're not. It's very hard to tell who anybody would be.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's just nice. It's like I don't draw realistically ever. I takes too long. Always just like very like fast and a bit surreal and stuff. So it's a nice little exercise. I've been watching Cuomo press briefings every single morning since this started. So I have literally, I mean,
Wow.
I could be considered a stalker at this, but there's a stack. It's like I probably have like 50 pictures of Andrew Cuomo that I've drawn, all different kinds of
Wow.
guys, different, Andrew on the weekend, no tie. When he changes his watch, it's a massive day. It's like, oh my God, he's wearing a different. Oh, okay. Then it's just these are the things. So these are usually my mornings, and then
Wow.
and then I meditate, and then I start answering letters and emails, and
Mhm.
making plans for whatever it is I need to get done that night. And then I do Pilates, and then I
Mhm.
make some 15 minutes for dinner. I'm like ready to fucking go, and
Yeah.
and then and then I start working on whatever it is. It's been a
Wow.
number of projects. I've done so many different types of things during this, um, paintings and art, and I made like 2.5 yards of fabric one night where I just like designed this
Whoa.
whole thing and like laid the entire thing out on my floor and made
Mhm.
it fabric. And I've made so many videos. Yeah, written songs. Every day it's a little different, just depending on what somebody needs or wants or what's going on. But there just seems to be no end to, hey, can you make this for this or that for that? And
You're like, yeah, I'm on it.
I'm very happy to. Yeah. I mean, it's what's really interesting is like there's a lot of things that I've been doing lately that I would never ever have the time to do. Certainly not at the level that I'm doing them at. You know,
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
someone needed something really simple like a video for something that's, like a minute long, I would have just filmed it on my phone and sent it, it would have taken 1 minute's
Right.
time.
Right. You're like, it would take that amount of time. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. 1 minute time. Now I don't know. I'm like, I have this idea. I want to do this. And so I'll work on it for a whole evening, or two or whatever. Like when I made that Rise video, that
Yeah.
was such a cool learning experience. It was really frustrating because I did it on iMovie, but I didn't know iMovie. So what a great place to start. And I realized very quickly that iMovie was not going to do the things that I needed iMovie to do. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was just a series of fails until I got to that edit where I was like, okay, if I move one more thing, if I change it, it will explode in my hands. Like, I can't. This is the video. If there's a part that someone doesn't like, sorry, I'm smoking in this. There's no other footage to replace it with. There's nothing I can do. This is what it is. And so it was really interesting. And then right after that, I did another music video for the second song, It Ain't Water. Having learned what I learned doing the first one, I spent much more time like conceptualizing it and planning it out because I knew what I would not be able to do once it was filmed. I didn't like get exactly what I needed in the footage before even throwing it into the computer. And so that one was a lot smoother. I mean, because I knew what was going to happen. And then I after I feel like I ran iMovie's course to the bitter end,
Yes.
after watching a million tutorials and all my questions, the answer was always no. I got myself Final Cut Pro, and it's like being on a dream vacation. It is so brilliant. Oh my God. What did anyone tell me?
Oh my God.
I don't think I'd have the appreciation for it that I do if I hadn't gone through the iMovie hell.
That
But
is so funny.
yeah, now the answer is always yes. And it's just so exciting for me. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. And I love anytime I've got anything to make a film for now. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
I can do it. I can do it. And isn't that fun? Like that. I feel like it's really important for people to hear that you failed over and over again, repeatedly making this project to be like, I can't, how do I even edit this? Like in a weird way, that can sometimes be like the best way to even start an endeavor is to be like really critically bad at it.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to be bad at everything. I'm still critically bad at it. It's really, but it's finding those little, I guess like music or making art or anything, the way that I approached making the video, it was like, you're looking for kind of happy accidents because you lack the control or the knowledge of how to do it. So it's like, it's a kind of beautiful thing. You're sort of making this moving sculpture. You're sort of letting it play out, and that's why I loved it. And I think that's why I like making videos. It's because it seems like quite out of control and magical to me. I don't know what I'm going to get. I can plan it all I want to, but then there's just always going to be something or 10 things or 20 things,
and it's like I enjoyed watching the video, and it's cool to know now how it was made and that you were kind of just like, what am I doing? I don't know. Let's do the thing. Because it captured a lot of that mood of at least how I felt at the beginning, where like I am in much the same, I guess, like cut from the same cloth, that I will stay up all night just doing stuff because I'm fascinated by making things. And it captured that, like that kind of pacing around, that layered feeling of like, you aren't trapped, but you are kind of all of a sudden at home in your own body. And that's about it, being like, what do I do? And I liked that. Like I liked it because I related to it. It's not that I like go about being like, and now be trapped in your own experience. Goodbye.
Did you have that feeling at the beginning of this? Like, I've been talking to a lot of artists and musicians and stuff about this, but that first month of lockdown was so strange. Like, I think psychologically and emotionally for me, it was like all of the things that I normally love to sit up all night and do, and primarily that would be music, every night. I couldn't do it. If for something, I could do all sorts of other things. I mean, I spent a whole day and a half, like not sleeping, making strange sculptures out of cardboard boxes and painting them in my yard. I mean, like that's
excellent.
my brain was just like, we need to do something. I don't know, just something I hadn't done before. And the videos fell into that too. Something I didn't
Mhm.
have any like memory or, emotion attached to it yet. It wasn't my life as I'd known it, working on that kind of a thing. And so seemed so natural for me at the time, but I was getting really concerned that like I'd pick up a guitar and be like, no, fuck this. I
That's
can't.
yes.
I can't write a lyric. I don't like any of my lyrics. What the fuck? I don't want to write a song about a virus. Please no. Like I don't know what to do. And I was like, I kept saying, I was like, I have a feeling, this is going to go in some pretty crazy phases where I have so much adrenaline from all of this.
Yes.
I feel like so whacked out. And that's awesome if I use it in the right way. It'll also bring me down if I don't, So
Yes.
I was just like furiously trying to use it to keep myself occupied and curious, and then but it shifted though. It did. I had like a couple weeks ago, like I was just I kind of felt like, oh man, this is going to go on a long time. Now, this is something that I've known for a long time and been saying, but not with that tone, suddenly I was able to play music again. And then
Wow.
I got all excited again. And it's almost like it did just get normal. And that's concerning. But also, I mean, I'm happy to be able to write songs again. But it was a
Yeah.
strange thing where it was like, not normal, nothing's normal, can't write either. So that's like a real sign of that. And
Yes.
suddenly I'm kind of normalized to this situation. And that's called like, that's just human coping. You just decide that you like this so that you won't go crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like you get fatigued of the distress, and your body's like, I actually can't be distressed anymore, so I will decrease the distress, despite the fact that the situation has not changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your perspective completely just does a 180.
I think that you can sometimes like cognitively understand something before your emotions catch up to you.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. I mean, and then now I just hear like people going like, gosh, I'm just loving this. I hope this never, I'm like, stop. Okay. You're coping too hard. Like, no. I want this to end. This needs to end for the world's sake. We need to get better. No, this is not how I would like to live out the rest of my days. No,
No.
let's
It's
not
like,
take it that far. Okay, everyone?
well, it's like there's the time to be in the cocoon, there's the time to be the butterfly, and it's like, okay, we're in the cocoon phase, but we can't be in a cocoon forever.
Yeah.
Because then we're just actually a gelatinous mush, and that's weird. Which also turns into a butterfly. Very weird process. What you said, that really struck me about what you said, that you were able to engage with other creative things, but not necessarily with your primary creative thing. And I related to that very strongly.
It's like there's a short circuit in there. There's other
Yeah.
stuff like clogging this sort of tube, that anxiety and that stress, but also not even that. It's just that it's so strange.
Yeah.
It's all so strange. It's the strangest time on earth. And it is bound to have some serious like psychological repercussions,
Yeah.
which could be incredible and can be terrible, and I think everyone's feeling both all of the time, which creates that same like whirlpool effect of like, what am I doing right now? Hey, it's cool, but what am I doing right now? Keep going. There's nowhere else to be. Okay, all right, fine. I mean, you're just having these conversations all day to yourself. Never talk to myself so much out loud. It's unbelievable. But, I've got a lot to say to myself, apparently. I'm finding out.
That's so
We
funny.
talk all day.
That is so funny. Yeah, there'll be days. That's so interesting you say that like you're like, oh, I discovered I had so much to talk to myself about. And when you were describing that fabric, one, I'm very curious, how does one make fabric? And two, it sounds like that's something that would only have occurred at a time like this. Like, when else are you going to be like, yeah, I think I'm going to just like, make some fabric?
No, actually, it was something that I would do, but it's something that I would never have time to do.
Oh.
A girlfriend of mine makes incredible leather jackets here in Nashville, and she
Ooh.
had this project, which I don't know if she's going to do or it will be pushed, but she had a really cool project of making canvas jackets, and she was going to send these canvas jackets to a bunch of different artists and have them paint the jackets. And
Oh, I
I
love that.
was like, you know what? I don't like painting on stuff that's already so. It's really hard. It just it's like quite messy and stuff. I was like, can I just have the raw canvas and I'll paint
Mm.
that, and then you can make a jacket out of that. And I think that'll be. I mean, then have more control over what happens on it because it's flat, you know.
I was just going to say that also makes it high stakes if the jacket's already been sewn to be like, well, there's nothing I
Yeah,
can experiment with
yeah.
because only with, and you couldn't really pull the fabric taut, I would imagine.
No, you can't. It's really, and especially canvas, which is incredibly, it's not like primered or anything. It's just raw canvas. So anything you paint on, it's just going to suck right in, and it's not really going to sit the way you put it.
Right.
So I got this huge stack of canvas and just rolled the entire thing out on my floor and worked on that for a couple of nights, and it was so beautiful and cool. And I'm looking at it, it's like the biggest painting I've ever done, you know? And
Wow.
that was like day 2 of lockdown. All right, well, if shit continues this way, oh my, you know, it's like,
Oh my gosh, your house becomes like Baba Yaga's. It's going to be amazing.
yeah, it is looking pretty nuts right now. Now that I've got like my camera, I've got like tripods, I've ordered lights, and this is becoming like a full pirate operation over here. It's really, you know, everything. Thank God we can still order art supplies and stuff like that. And
Oh my God. You're so right. And pirate operation is such a great way to put it. Like I was very inspired seeing your video because I shot a video the first day. It was the day before lockdown. I got so lucky that one of my friends had been basically quarantined in Joshua Tree, and she was driving to LA to fly out to Ohio to take care of her mother.
yeah,
And she drove into LA and filmed my video in my home, and then flew to Ohio. And then the next day, it was announced that we were in shelter in place.
I need to get myself some backdrops. I really want that.
Yeah, it
Or
gave
green screen, that would be really good.
you totally, like, I highly recommend it now that you are making music videos.
You know, if anything, this has just given me such a level of respect for every filmmaker, video maker I've ever worked with. I'm like, this shit is hard. It is
Yes.
hard, and it is awesome, and it takes so much foresight and so much thought, and it's really and a good idea. You know, ultimately, it takes a really great idea, and I think, yeah, I mean, I've always had mad respect for them, but having now gone through the editing process and the filming process, I'm like, oh man, it's real.
Well, and yeah, having collaborated with a lot of different people, like, are you doing any like long range collaborations?
Well, the one, I mean, let's see. I'm trying to think if anything strange. I'm thinking, I can't remember right now. Well, what I'm mostly doing is just writing with Jamie, who's in LA.
Mhm.
And so I'm writing a Kills record right now with him, and we're sending stuff back and forth. So that would be the one major collaboration going on at the moment, and that
Mhm.
has been going on, especially now that I can write again, which is great. Um,
Woohoo!
yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I'm doing all sorts of little things with all sorts of people all the time right now. I mean, everybody's kind of reaching out. Everybody's trying to do something, stay sane,
Yeah,
and work with each other. You know,
yes.
I think it's really wonderful. It's awesome. I think that first month, man, it was just confusing. I was like, "What the fuck do we do? I don't like, oh, let's do this, let's do that." And I was like, let's just chill out for a second and think about what's going on, you know, and like, let's try to like, is that sustainable? This crazy project that you want to do that you're going to be bored with tomorrow? I don't think
Mhm.
so. Like, let's make something that is matters and is worth our time. Just because we have so much time doesn't mean that it needs to be throwaway. It's like now we have time to really, really focus and give a shit. And I know for me and my normal life where I'm flying every week or two or on tour or something, and I never have the space to do large things or the time
Yeah.
to do well thought out things, you know, unless it's a record. It's a really, really nice thing where it's like, I feel like, you know, we're all doing homeschooling right now. Whatever it is, it's like, okay, this is the time to really like grow your imagination and work on the things that you've always wished you were better at, or wanted to know about, or anything. I study Spanish all the time, and one thing I've noticed since this is that my memory retention is so much bigger.
Wow.
It's really cool. And I'll notice this when I'm working on these lessons and stuff, that it's like, oh my God, you got to tell me like 10 times before I remember it, and then I've just remembered it and I probably am going to forget it tomorrow. Currently, it's just one time, it's just sticking. And it's like shows you like the speed at which the brain, like everything has slowed down. Certain pressures are just kind of, they're not as in your face. Um, so
Yeah.
that memory has gotten better. And also my returning emails and text time has widened so much. Like someone texts me and I respond the next day. Now, like in
Mhm.
normal life, that's like such a no-no. I like, I'm jealous of people who don't feel the pressure to have to respond right away. That's good. That's really healthy.
I
Um,
aspire to be that person.
yeah. And I always have too. And now I'm just doing it without meaning to, and
Yeah.
feel that sense of guilt, like, oh shit, I forgot to write back to that incredible letter or to this question or whatever. But it's because I'm just like so focused on something. I'm having that moment where I get so focused, and it's like, it's like just separating like what is really important to me in that moment. And it's not like I need to get back this inane answer that can wait weeks if it needs to,
Right.
while
Right.
I'm working on this and I don't want to be interrupted. And so all these things, it's just interesting, I think. I mean, these are self-observations, but um, I don't know. It's cool. I don't know if I would have ever experienced this, at the speed we were all going, and
Yeah.
moving around I was doing, which I miss and I can't wait for. But let there be a lesson learned, throughout this, that we don't have to be such a slave to our devices and to this impossible, like, societal obligation to constantly blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, like you were talking about that, like what's the purpose of doing almost? And like, especially when you said that you were always like on a flight or touring and things like that, it's like, I would imagine at that point you're taking in so much information on so many levels that no
Mhm.
wonder your brain was like a Spanish lesson, whatever. Is that necessary right now?
Yeah.
Your
Right,
brain was
once
like,
I
I'm processing so much.
get right out. It's like, yeah, you learned a whole bunch of shit yesterday and you forgot it this morning. Okay, let's do that again. Yeah, but it's been really interesting to, and I've been doing things like going for walks. Like
Yeah,
I don't I don't do that. I mean, I do that on tour all the time because otherwise I'm just sitting backstage, and plus I'm in a great city and I don't know that much about it and I want to see the whole thing, and so
exactly.
I'll walk for 4 hours, but at home, I don't do that because I'm
Right.
just at home and I know what the street looks like. Now I get so excited and I walk like, for a couple hours, and I've seen all these houses I've never seen before, all these things, like details,
Yeah.
that I never noticed.
Yeah.
9 years of living here. Never noticed it.
Isn't that strange? Like I'm one of the rare Los Angelinos that really enjoys walking. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I
Uh
love I love walking there too. And you know what? Me and my brother always used to make a joke. It's like if you're walking in Los Angeles, like anyone that sees you just assumes you don't have a car.
yeah.
If if you're walking and you have a dog, they're like, yeah, that person has two cars. It's like this weird psychology. You can't keep walking. People look at you like you're insane. You're like, I do have a car. I've just chosen my legs for the moment. I'm giving them a
Oh.
spin. Let me give them a spin. Come on.
Oh my God, that is so funny. It's really, I feel like the scope of our lives has temporarily shifted a bit. It's focused people in a way. And what you were saying about that people at the beginning kind of almost frantically wanted to produce things like some of that is, I think, related to both like capitalist culture, but also that like sometimes a fear response is that we want to do things. That pressure, that urgency it's constructed. It's not actually there.
Having a chance to actually decide my answer, it's like there. someone asks me a question to do something or whatever, like normally I would either feel like, yeah, I've got to do it, or someone will say, you know what, you really should do this, you know, like, okay, all right, okay, I'll do it. And then I just, I feel like right now it's just really, if I'm doing something, it's because I really want to. It's because it's something
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually interested in. And um, it's a nice feeling. It's like, I just, I am taking a minute to think about everything before I do it, or, commit to it. And it should have been like that in the first place. I mean, I think to a degree it was, but maybe not this much of a degree.
Yeah, it's like being through the looking glass and going, oh, we really can do that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It's cool. I can't wait for like next month. Like, what is my brain going to be doing next month? It's so interesting. I know the phases are so interesting and they're very defined. I
They
feel
are.
so different than I did a month ago. And I have no idea what the next one's going to be like. I mean, who knows? But it's
It's
very,
very it's liberating in a way, because especially as someone who produces art and produces songs, to know that it's like we're literally all in the process right now. Like there's almost like we don't know the end game.
yeah,
So
yeah, who knows what it is, it's like, I always in my mind that's like, oh, I know I'm not going to be touring for a really long time,
yeah.
and that's a pretty crazy thing. And it's like, how do I do the most positive with my time in between now and then,
Yeah.
and it would be to work on the music, and it would be to like really, again, like, reevaluate why you do certain things. Do you do them because everyone does them? Do you do them because that's just what bands do? Do you do them because, the record label thought, like, what, like all of our old school ways of thinking, and almost every industry we can reevaluate that. It's like, why were we touring on this kind of premise? Why were we doing a record release in this kind of way? Why, were we doing this type of press when no one reads it? Why were, all of, or why were we spending zillions of dollars making music videos? Because Alison can't stop making them now, so maybe she should do it. I'm kidding. I bet you after this, I'm gonna be like, I'm never making a video again. I bet it'll be like that. um, but like just all of that, I really appreciate that. I can think about that stuff when before I would never have time. I mean, you just don't. I don't have any time. I don't have time to think that. I mean, I hire other people to say, this is going to be the best way of doing this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, the most like economic time wise, and, and all of that. And it's like, well, now we're going to have to we're going to have to invent everything. Now we're going to communicate differently. Now we're going to figure out different ways of playing shows where nobody's there. Now we've got to, or half the people, or it's outside, or it's like we're all in a glass bubble. I don't fucking know, but whatever it is, we're gonna have to be incredibly, inventive, and
Well, yeah.
it's
It's such a strange opportunity to get to like recraft your reality and recraft how you want to do things. Like as you were talking about that, about playing shows, I thought about what you're saying, that we can order art supplies and things like that. And I was just like, now you can make your own sets. Like you can stream what you want to, or you can film what you want to, you can portray yourself the way you want to. And in regards to like press cycles and things like that, based on the speed at which we're communicating or taking the time to think between communications, that's going to change how you communicate your art to your audience. It was interesting also in hearing you speak of being able to be considerate about where you wanted your focus to go, because as like an interdisciplinary artist, I think it's cool that you've been talking about not only working on music, but all the other things. Because that's actually, I mean, that's kind of the premise of even like why I started this podcast, like way before all this happened. Now it's like morphed into a totally different thing. But it all started because I am a musician and also a therapist. And I really love doing both of those things. And I was like, there's got to be other people that love doing more than one thing. Why don't I talk to them?
yeah.
And in a way, it became about like how we define ourselves. And it sounds like now you're actually getting to spend the time to put deliberate thought into how you're defining yourself, because it sounds like your life is like a magical runaway train for a while, and you're like, I'm going to go do this thing. And I'm like, now you're like, which truck am I taking? What train am I getting on? Like, what am I doing? And I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm gonna have a list so long of all the things that I want to do. It's so long, and it's been compiling over so many years. It makes my head spin. It's like this is a great start. This is a great starting point, and hopefully, a lesson in life that everything doesn't have to be moving that crazy all of the time. In fact, wonderful work can be produced, probably more so if you just take the time to do it. And I don't know, but yeah, it's so interesting, and we're all talking about it, and we're all talking about nothing else.
Yep.
But it's happening to all of us. We have one common bond worldwide. We're all in this shit together, so we all got to figure it out.
And we all have to, I think in a certain way, you said something that I liked, that you were curious about things. Like it sounded like that was like with the cardboard sculptures and with the videos and with how to paint the fabric. It's like you're remaining curious about what's going on around you, as opposed to, like you said, the people who are almost like kind of like nesting a little too much.
Yeah. But hey, I say whatever it takes to get you through this time, do it. Some people are like, God, I can't do anything. I've just been watching TV for days. And I'm like, as long as you're okay, go.
Yeah.
Because whatever it takes to keep you happy and sane during this time, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's just sleeping all the time. Like I said, there's going to be phases. There's going to be a moment where you're going to wake up one day and have some energy, and this like shock is going to wear off, and you're going to be able to function more normally or a new normally, whatever it is. But, I was at the other end of the spectrum where I just was like working so much. The first month was absolutely fucking maddening. I was working so much, and now it's kind of, I still am, but it's a little different like that it's like, it's much more measured now. And I think that there's always going to be phases, and literally I just don't, I don't see anything wrong with doing nothing if that's what it takes to get you through it. And then I don't see anything wrong with like going OTT 90 straight days. You know what I mean? We all have our own style, and it's like, rock the wave, sister, whatever it takes. It's like, it's fine.
You're like, do the thing. There's a Fiona Apple lyric that I always liked where she says that she's going to go out and sit on the lawn and do nothing because it's just what you must do and nobody does it anymore. And I was like, solid. That is solid advice.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it would be like putting me in prison, having me go sit in the lawn. I can't even take a bath. You know why? Because it's too boring and it takes too long, and I can't sit there. So I'm like that other side of the thing where I like, at one point during this, maybe 3 weeks in, I said to myself, Alison, let's take a bath. I'm two people in this equation. I'm all I've got right now.
There are two wolves inside you.
We take a bath. Yeah, let's take a bath. I approached said bath. I've lived in this house for 9 years. I've taken one bath in this bath in 9 years.
Wow.
I clean the bath. I get, it's all dusty. And I go to fill it up, and it's like, I discover, and I don't know how long this has been broken, but like maybe since my last bath 9 years ago, no hot water comes out of that bath. And I was like, damn it. See, I can't even if I wanted to. It's just not in the cards. I don't take baths, I don't.
Oh, that's so funny.
I don't know if I sat in the grass, it would be hysterical. I would last like 4 minutes. I did it.
You're like, I did the nothing. Oh my God, that is so deeply relatable. A friend of mine made me like this like lovely like salt soak, and I have a candle, and I made it like an event. It was like an event to sit in the bath. And so like that, I mean, granted, I probably maybe stayed like 10 minutes in the bath. That for me was like a good go of things. But like I made it a thing. It was like, welcome to your bath.
Yeah.
And I think
everything things right now. I have to say, you're like, everything is a thing. It's not just walking from one side of the house to the other is a thing. It's a thing that's happening. And
like there was no chill involved in this. There were candles involved. It was
You need a bath to de-stress yourself from the first complicated bath you took when you were like, woo, I got all that ready. I did all that stuff. 10 minutes. Oh God. Oh,
Yeah. It's like once I got in there, I was like, did I do it right? Like, is this a bath?
Am I feeling the right feelings? Am I supposed to feel like this? Look at me.
And it's almost like a redefinition of like, well, what do you value? And so it's like, do you value doing a whole bunch of things at once? Can you value that you might be at different paces? Or I love what someone, it was my podcast producer who I was talking to just prior to the interview, where she had said like that this hasn't been a great week, like mental health wise. And I was like, hey, I'm really sorry to hear that. And she's like, yeah, she's just like, everything's up and down. And she said that she considered it a C week. And I said, what do you mean a C week? And she's like, you passed the class. I was like, oh, one of those, like, it doesn't have to be good. It just has to be done. She's like, yes.
On to the next. Yeah.
And I think that for some people that can be, a challenge to one's self-esteem or to one's ego. But especially at this point in time, like there are certain things where it's like, did you get it done? Excellent. That's what we're aiming for. Just like
we've got each other to talk about it, because I think we're all having those C weeks and we're all having those F days and we're all having, we're all having them. And it doesn't matter how productive or unproductive we're being, mentally we're having them. And
yes.
There is mornings I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, and it just like colors my whole day. It's just not in the mood for it. And and then there are other days where you'd almost think there was no pandemic going on with whatever's happening in my brain. It's just leading me down a different path. So it is incredibly acceptable to have the full range of good and total shit. Right.
Yes.
And anytime I'm feeling like, why am I not handling this better in any moment or any day, all it takes is talking to a single one of my friends, anybody, and everybody is feeling the same way. So it immediately just makes you feel, okay, you're not losing it. You're not, it's not going to be the same forever, and you're going to get out of it. Because we're all doing it right now.
Yeah. And it's certainly, it's kind of accepting all parts of yourself and the experience to be like, all right, some of this is going to be incredible. And I'm going to totally learn a new way to edit videos and it's going to be amazing. And other days you're like, cool, I don't know how to take a bath.
Yeah. Well, totally. And I would I'd be so happy when I was making the video, and when it was done, I'd feel such a sense of depression. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I was like, I had escaped into it for 4 days. Nothing else existed. It was just that. And it was so wonderful. And you come out the other side. First, you have a sense of accomplishment. It lasts for me only like 5 seconds. And then I need the next thing. Yep. So, but it's like, oh no, like you're just like back to square one, right? Like, what do I do now? Okay, maybe I'll just go hit that closet and see what the hell I can find or whatever it is. I think I'm going to learn how to knit a sweater that covers my whole house. I mean, I don't know what you need like an objective, and without one, you just are like, fuck, what am I going to do?
What do I do?
So,
that's so funny. And like in the before times, a lot of times I would ask people about how they balanced their time with their multiple endeavors. And now that's almost like the opposite. Though, like you said, it's strange, our experience of time right now, that you're like, oh my God, it's somehow 5 a.m. And like, I've experienced that too, where I feel like time has become like almost more mushy than it was prior to this.
Super mushy. Yeah. What is time and what is days and what is months? What is any of it? It's like, it's two things. It's like either it's light out, it's dark out, it's raining, or it's not. And that's it. And I don't need any more information than that. Yeah, you could just look out the window. I mean, totally. And you just, lay all your clothes out, just all of them. Just lay them all out. Just see what you've really got there.
Just roll around in them.
Roll around in them. And the ones that stick to your body are the ones that you wear.
Oh my God. Yeah. And like, it's a strange way to redefine yourself during this period. Because I was looking at some of the other stuff. It was cool, like getting to look at what you've been up to during your career, like one does before one interviews someone. I was like, you worked on so much cool stuff. And like, even now I'm like, okay, cool. Like you're remaining curious about what other stuff you can work on, and in a way
Yeah.
being even more deliberate about it, which I find so fascinating, that it's like you're forced to slow down and
Yeah.
really consider each thing. And I'm like, seeing a prolific artist like you doing that, I was like, I'm so fascinated to see in the next like year or two, like what comes out of that.
So am I. I'm so curious. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what all artists and writers, musicians, everybody, especially creatives, like how we've processed this experience that we've had, which is unique in every sense, and what we've done with it and what work we've come up with. And I think it's going to be, I really think it's going to be like some kind of arts and philosophy and, musical renaissance. I think everything is going to have to start over. And a big part of that for me, what's so interesting is like what kind of creative things happen. And I'm not talking about like technology or anything like that. I'm just talking about like the work,
Yeah.
how advanced did the work get when you had nothing but the work,
Yep.
nothing else, um, it makes me excited, and it makes me excited to be part of that. And it makes me excited to push myself. And back to the homeschooling thing. It's like every aspect, any kind of like learning, all of it all gets funneled into like whatever creative thing you're doing. And the more you can fill your mind with interesting things and just other ideas, other art forms, anything, I think the better off you are. Your toolbox gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's fascinating that you framed it that way, because I was thinking about that you almost created different experiences for yourself by creating in those different ways. That I don't know if this happens for you, but if I kind of don't go out and live enough, it's
Yeah.
like I can certainly write things from my imagination, obviously, and drawing upon past experiences, but it's almost like to write, I have to go through different experiences, and then they go through whatever weird internal blender experience happens within my mind, and then it comes out in the work. And so if I don't have external stimulus, it's like I need to somehow create it on my own. And it sounds like you did that through a lot of your creative experiences outside of music just now, where it's like, okay, where can I get some of this like external external stimulation from?
I'm obsessed with people, and I'm obsessed with the way people talk and the things that they say and the way that they move and the relationships that we all have. And it's very weird as an artist to not have those things in front of my face. Those happen chances where you see someone having a crazy conversation, or you just like, you're in a crowded room. I love nothing more than being alone in a super crowded bar, writing in my book, not talking to anyone, but I am so stimulated by what's going on around me. It's the most exciting thing. I can't do that now. So that, so much has come from that for me, especially a life being on tour, like literally living in bars, playing in them, sitting in them, so it is really strange. And that's why I think why I was like started to draw the news, and I started to like just have things on that I need to hear them, to see them. I don't care if I know them or not, I just need that sign of life pretty common, like all the time, and it helps, and it spurs me on, and it's definitely less lonely that way. But yeah, it's going to be interesting not having those experiences in real life for a while. It has been so far,
And that's so poignant about drawing the news in that way. I hadn't thought of it that way initially when you had said it. It was so interesting that it was like almost like kind of like a gestural reaction to it, but like thinking about it that way, that it's, it's your reaction to people, and it's your reaction to the interactions of others. And I'm just like, oh, that makes it even more poignant that that's like, it's your interacting with the news. It's like, oh, wow.
These are my buddies. This is who I'm hanging out with.
I was just like, maybe you'll branch out to like Newsome, and like I was just like, there's because I relate to that very much, where there's a few cafes, especially some of the late night ones in LA, that like I'll go with my notebook and then just a book. I like to read in cafes as well, where I like to be kind of in almost like a reflective space around other people.
Yeah. Feels safe, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
You
feels
feel
so
not
cozy.
uncomfortable in a crowd. It's really a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and like I miss that because I have so many like journals and notebooks from like teenagerhood onward, and so I'd always go to the Pig, and not because, I mean, not to diss the Pig, but it's not like any of their food products are the most superlative. It's only because it's the Pig, and you
Right.
can go and sit and people watch. You can either people watch outside and watch everyone on the block, or you can go to like the little forest room that used to be the Moroccan room in the back, or you can like it's like it's just that's one of my favorite places to just go and write because you always are watching people there. There's always something happening there.
I love sitting out on that sidewalk. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I miss doing that. And I hadn't thought of that in the context of what you're doing, but I realized that like I definitely do that too because you're picking up on the energy of everyone around you. And the next thing I know, I'd be writing almost like little vignettes based on what
Yeah.
other people are doing.
Totally. 100%. I mean, that's it. It's just observation. It's an observation is key when you're creative, you know. Otherwise you're just writing about yourself all the time and that's just gets a little much. It's like uh
Yes.
I love watching people. I love listening to people and I love being surrounded by them, you know. It's a really great energy. Do you know that the Oaks closed?
What?
Yeah, Jamie told me they were selling everything in there for 50% off or selling everything they closed.
Like closed or like temporary closed or like closed?
I think I mean, I really hope I think closed. I can't
Mm,
really check that, but, like, that's what it sounded like, and that was only, like, 3 weeks into this.
I must admit, like I cry watching things all the time. Like I cry if someone else is going through a tough experience, but like I rarely myself cry. I
Yeah.
definitely cried when Swingers Diner closed
Me
because
too. Oh my god.
oh,
I know, that's just like I just remember, I mean, that's like my 20s. It just
uh-huh.
damn it. I know.
I was like, how many of the vegan Rice Krispie treats like I think that probably like is your cell turnover, it's like every 7 years. So I think that there's still like a lot of my cells that are made of the vegan Rice Krispie treats. Like, it's like they're still in there.
Yes,
Um,
I love those vegan grilled cheese sandwiches.
oh,
So many of those. I mean, 1,000 of them.
yeah.
Jamie and I were working on it was our second record, and we did a lot of that in LA, and we were staying in a little motel around there, like a few blocks away, and so
Uh,
we lived at that cafe,
oh my
that
God.
diner.
Yep.
Always a go-to, like, after, like, late shows or things like that, so I just love that place, I can't believe it.
I know. Like, and they didn't even, there are places around LA that have been having like, like fundraisers to stay open. Like the Troubadour just met their funding goal, which is great. Um,
Awesome.
which I was so relieved about that. I donated to like the bootleg, like, and it made me just so sad. Like, and that's why I've been making the effort to make sure that I get takeout once a week from some of my favorite spots because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, we lost Swingers. We're not allowed to lose more, you guys. Like,
Oh,
I'm like, I will eat all your food. I am very ambitious about that right now.
you're like, I'll make a bath and I'll sit in the bath and I'll eat your food. I'll do anything it takes, whatever it takes. I'll have another bath if it'll save you.
Seriously, this is what's going down in the history books. It's like, how did you save culture? Well, you see, I took a bath and I ate a lot of the vegan breakfast sandwiches from locally.
You what? Yeah, I know. It's getting silly. But yeah, I'm so terrified of, well, I just know it's going to be like a funeral procession when I go back on tour and I go like it feels like the world is my second home. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
have all my favorite places in every major city across the globe and the hotels I love, the diners I love, the cafes, the restaurants, the bars, all those things. And this is happening everywhere. And I just know that first couple years of touring back, it's going to be me going like, let's go to that. And then it not being there, and that's just
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And I could get really depressed about that. But then I keep reminding myself, man, it's really fucking wonderful that you got to do all that and you got to spend all that time in those
Oh,
places. And I'm so thankful, and if anything, I'm sorry that, another generation won't get that same experience because these places have been there for, 100 years and more.
yeah.
They're so special and they're such a huge part of like coming of age for me and in my work and seeing the world and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm such a like I take photos of everything and I write down everything and like I have this incredible like vast amount of documentation for myself that no one sees, but like yes, I was there and I did that. And if you need a reminding, just there it is in one of those 100,000 books in your closet. But I'm glad. I'm glad I got to experience all that. I hope that it's not as bad. I hope it's not that bad. I hope not that many places disappear, but I know that some will, and there'll be a little heartbreak there for sure
Yeah.
around the world.
Well, knowing that you have that record of them yourself, and I was thinking what you said about like that future, the future generation may not have had the same experience. And on one hand, I was like, well, they will build new experiences, but also like,
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever want to share any of those photos or any of those things, but I was like, that in and of itself is so beautiful that you have almost like this personal visual memoir of where you were.
yeah, yeah. Jamie and I take a lot of photos. It's all we really do on the road. We just walk around and we take photos, and we go out and we take photos, and
Yeah.
always been a practice, or I mean, we've been doing it both of us since we were really young. So
Mm.
it's definitely something we share, and I'm glad we have all of that stuff. And if it's on my iPhone, like I'm never looking at it again. So it doesn't exist really. It was kind of
Yeah.
pointless that I even took it.
Yeah.
So I really have to keep trying to always use a camera. But yeah, it's going to be interesting whatever happens. I mean, like there's going to be new wonderful things that are going to happen and take place and they'll be awesome. And um but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's strange to be, I guess, as a kid who loved history, it's very strange to be living in history.
Well, it's like when I go to New York, and because I was so obsessed with the 60s and 70s in New York, and then I get there in the 90s and I'm like, where's all that shit that's in all those books? Well, guess what? It closed down. That's just what happens. You know what I mean? It's just in books. So it's like, you can't have everything. You just, things change, things evolve, new places, pop up and other places disappear. But yeah, it's the end of an era for sure in so many ways. And unless some sort of by magic trick, it's not. But that's what it feels like.
It really it feels, I was saying to someone that it feels like this is the dark ages, like complete with a plague, mind you.
Oh,
Prior to the Renaissance, that the last few years I've been saying that like I feel like it's like the dark ages where it's like something has to give, like it's gotten weird and grim. And what comes next, and apparently what came next was an actual plague and murder hornets. But I was like we didn't have to be so literal about this.
you guys, is murder hornets real? What the fuck are they? Why is everyone talking about murder hornets? And then today I saw a picture and they're very large and it scared me. What
They're
are they?
very large, and I would prefer that they not be the B plot in our current disaster movie.
Yeah.
Like
Murder you?
I think that they just murder you. I think that they are. I think,
Come on.
I think that maybe the name is evocative.
God. I don't like that at all. I don't like
No,
insects. Not at all. I don't like
not a fan. Not a fan. But I keep figuring, I'm like, okay, if this is how like absurd and surreal like the denouement is from this whole like, like Western hegemony and productivity and all this stuff, it's like, okay, this has obviously come to its like crashing and completely bizarre end. So it's like, okay, well, what comes after? And I was like, well, logically, the Renaissance comes after. Like, shit got real messy for a while, and then then we have the Renaissance. So like, I'm like, okay, if I can stick around,
Yeah, just
we
don't cross our fingers. Let me know. We're due a break here pretty soon, but we fucked a lot of shit up. So I'm saying like it's all right. We've all been put into tension right now.
we've been
Perfect. And let's just learn our lesson, yeah?
Seriously, I feel like in some ways it was like, and this is why you can't have nice things. And you're like, ah.
You will learn to take a bath for longer than 10 minutes. If that's the only thing you accomplish during this time, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. We made it there. Maybe next time, it's almost like meditation, where maybe that's the lesson of this, is like, this is why people are so stoked on meditation.
I mean, it is pretty awesome. I do it. And for someone like me to do something like that, it's like a real twist, you know? I started doing TM like it's like a year ago now. And it is totally life-changing for me. It just like shut me the fuck up for 20 minutes, 2 times a day. And the amount of ideas and crazy things I see. And like, I can't wait to come out of it, because I need to write all this stuff down. And I really like it for ideas. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, it's definitely helped me during this, I think, for real. I don't have anxiety like I used to before that. It just kind of went away.
That's fascinating.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's really helped me. And I don't know what I would do without it right now. I'm like, if ever I get stuck, I'm like, it's because you haven't meditated yet. Let's do that, and then I'm ready to go.
And then you're good. I'm fascinated by it because of how it changes how you think and perceive things.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really, really, I mean, there's no other way of putting it. It's just really nice. And I can tell it's good for me. I can absolutely tell. My like stress and my capacity to handle things and focus is just much improved.
Cool.
Sure. Yeah.
So it sounds like, it's funny, I usually wrap up by being like, what would you suggest to people? But right now I'm just like, there's no rules.
Do whatever you want.
I mean, it sounds like remaining curious, being compassionate to yourself, trying meditation, maybe paint some fabric, be bad at things at first and it's okay.
Yeah. Pick up a new language and just get excited about maybe going to that country one of these days and using it. Who knows? Whatever. Hey, anything. Just whatever gets you through the day, and gets a smile on your face sometimes. It's like, that's all we need right now. Another thing where I was like so surprised I stuck with it, because I've been doing that. I think I'm on like year 3 now on that.
Oh, wow.
Like in 3rd year Spanish. I mean, I can't say shit, but like I can read it really well. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a fun game to play with myself. I like it.
I love it. I guess I'll just look up. There's got to be another resource online to learn Icelandic. It's a fascinatingly complex language.
Well, good luck with that. I have to say.
Thank you.
It's not easy.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Take care over there.
You too. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Why Not Both? If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like us and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also come hang out with us on social media. We are at WNB the podcast, both on Instagram and Twitter. This season, we are brought to you by Under the Radar. Under the Radar is a nationally distributed print, music, and entertainment magazine and website. You can find them at www.undertheradarmag.com, and feel free to support them on Patreon. Extra special thanks to our producer, Laura Studeris, who has been absolutely amazing. Thank you again, and I look forward to next week's episode.